Chapter 1186. Susan was stupefied. Wade went pale from fear and trembled uncontrollably. It was no wonder the big shot supported Wilbur. It turned out that he knew Farron Campbell, and Farron was the son of Orrin Campbell, the person in charge of Carden Province. They were all shocked after learning of his status. The terrifying part was that the son of the person in charge of Carden Province called Wilbur his boss. It was hard for them to imagine how powerful and terrifying Wilbur was. The journalists were immediately anxious when they heard about Farron's identity, and they immediately panicked. Susan suddenly yelled after being stunned for a moment. "I don't care who you are. Hurry up and release my son, or else." Wilbur was stunned. He could not believe that the crazy woman still dared to be outrageous. Did she not know who Farron Campbell was and who he represented? Her behavior also caused quite a shock to Lincoln and Jay. They could not believe that she dared to be so audacious even at this point. Elsa and her special agents walked over with cold looks on their faces. Farron scoffed coldly and said, "You're extremely stupid. According to the investigation, Jaden Young is suspected of bribing the authorities to gain his position. He's suspected of corruption, so he's now under arrest and awaiting investigation." Jaden went limp. However, there were special agents who went to cuff him and supported him, so he did not fall to the ground. Susan sprinted toward them when she saw that. She yelled like crazy, "Let go of my son. I'll beat you all up." Susan yelled and tried to scratch the special agent who arrested Jaden. However, Elsa gave the signal, and two special agents immediately arrested her too. Susan kicked and punched as she cursed and struggled. Elsa looked displeased. Those old people finally realized things got out of control. They all looked at each other and went quiet. No one dared to speak loudly again. Susan was struggling like crazy. Everyone watched her throw a tantrum, but no one tried to stop her. Eventually, she exhausted herself after a while. She panted and looked at her son with tears in her eyes. Wilbur scoffed coldly inside. It would seem she finally understood how dire the situation was. However, she was in denial. She tried to throw a tantrum to help her son. She was probably used to doing that and felt like she could have her way and demanded respect from others because of her age. Jay noticed that Susan finally had enough, so he looked at Wade. He said coldly, "Be honest, Wade. This is your final chance." Wade was scared witless at that point, so he immediately confessed to everything. The whole ordeal started when Susan and the bunch of old people were interested in Sea Lake Island. They wanted entry so they could exercise. However, they were denied entry, so she told her son. Jaden was newly appointed, so he took the opportunity to help his mom.